In the middle of 1 Peter chapter 3, Peter is giving advice to Christians for how to behave when we are suffering for doing what is right. He says, even if you do suffer for doing what is right, you are blessed. Do not fear what they fear, and do not be intimidated. But in your hearts, and this is our verse for the day, chapter 3, verse 15, but in your hearts sanctify Christ as Lord. Always be ready to make your defense to anyone who demands from you an accounting for the hope that is in you. Yet do it with gentleness and respect. And that last phrase is from the beginning of verse 16. And I find this verse just to be a very helpful guide in terms of how I try to speak with other people, whether they are not Christians at all, whether they are other Christians who may have a different view or perspective than I have. But let's walk through it. In your hearts, sanctify Christ as Lord. And remember, this is in contrast to the emperor. For first century Christians living under the authority and power of the Roman Empire, part of what distinguished Christians is they would not say that Caesar is Lord, because only Christ is Lord. And for that alone, many Christians were persecuted and many were killed. So Peter, who was crucified himself, although upside down because he didn't want to be crucified in the same way that Jesus was, 1 Peter is saying that's the first thing we have to do. Sanctify in your heart that Christ is Lord, that Christ has the primary first place over any political ruler, over any other authority. There's no one above Christ in my heart and in my life. Second, he says, always be ready to make your defense to anyone who demands from you an accounting for the hope that is in you. So in other words, you need to be ready to give what people today might call your elevator speech. You know, can you share in 30 seconds or 60 seconds or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, hey, what is this hope you seem to have or claim to have because you believe in Jesus? Can you share about the hope that you hold? And finally, and very importantly, it's how we share with non-believers and other people and even opponents. How do we share about the hope we have in Christ and Christ being first in our life? We do it with gentleness and respect. And when we can share our faith with gentleness and respect, I believe that helps us gain a hearing. When we fail as Christians to be gentle and respectful when we talk to or about other people, I think we make it far less likely we're going to persuade anybody to share our beliefs or convictions. And we may even, in fact, push people further away from Christ rather than draw them nearer. Regardless of a culture in which we live, which seems to fan the flames of anger and cruelty and all kinds of things that are quite harsh, that's not supposed to be the path we follow. We treat people and we speak to and about people with gentleness and respect. May that be true of all of us.